Hello YouTube, been a little bit. I just wanted to do a quick update video on this Volvo right here and this Camaro right here. So I haven't posted it yet, but I did a video building or installing the anti-roll bar for this car, and I've got myself a nice little list together of all the stuff that needs done on it, which is very expansive, lots of stuff. So this is 2001, I believe, TransAm. I bet it says on here somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere maybe. 2000 model year. So, 2000 TransAm. Here on Speed Turbo Kit T6. It is a Midwest Turbo 85. And I have to get this thing pretty much buttoned up as far as I can, especially anything that involves any sort of fab. So I have to get the seat brackets installed. I have to get the AC vent block off installed. I got the floor down there that I need to put some rivets in. We have the fuel cell that needs to go in. We are aware that you will need a firewall if it's installed there, but there's a big spider on that thing. You see that? Oh my gosh, that's a big boy. Battery box. We're not worried about the firewall at this point. We just want a car that has it's gonna go fast. So I gotta do all that stuff. Make the fuel system. Put the fuel pump in. Wire the fuel pump in. That was an intercooler that just fell down from an old Volvo. I gotta mount a radiator, mount an intercooler, do the CO2 system for the boost. I gotta install the Holley Terminator X. I have to install the I/O extender box because we're gonna have some extra I/O on here. Doing the boost and fan and fuel pump from the Holley, plus a extra auxiliary AEM or whatever 400 liter external pump to supply some extra boost to this thing. Extra fuel to this thing, because it's going to need it. That 750 is going to run out quick on E85. I would expect this car with that 85 millimeter turbo to make somewhere around 1100 to the wheels, and the Magnum Fuel 750 will run out at about 850 to 900. So we're going to need about 200 horsepower more worth of fuel pump. But the list is long, and there's a lot of hours that have to go on this thing. Rear end needs to be assembled. There's no center section or axles in it. Got to put the transmission in. Got to put the new shifter in. Seat does not exist. We need to build seat brackets for those Kirky mounts so they fit correctly for the driver. Have to build or modify this cold side because it's for stock front end, not a tube front end, and those tubes kind of take up the place of where that would want to go. Transmission cooler needs mounted. Fuel system, I mentioned, needs to be done. Got to do all the battery cables. Pretty much everything. It's pretty much just a roller, as it is. It's got wheels, and it rolls. It does have the tube front end and some nice suspension, nice shocks in the front. It's got some new AFCOs for the rear. This has a 9-inch in it. So yeah, there's a good couple weeks worth of work here on this, and it depends on if I get help. We've got the owner wants to come and help quite a bit, as much as he can. So that's it for the Camaro, and now we can talk about El Volvo. Off camera, I've been able to get the engine and transmission bolted together, torque converters in there, ready to go. Everything's happy. I had to end up getting a new flex plate for this motor because the LT flex plate does not have the same bolt pattern as, say, a 4L80, 4L60, so I had to get a flex plate that did. So ICT Billet to the rescue. They've got everything. And speaking of them, I'm going to have to get a power steering pump, an alternator bracket. I'm going to need to get an AC compressor. I also am probably going to split this radiator and move the top hose to right here. That way we have some nice short little radiator lines. And I'm going to need to get a silicone elbow to go right there on that, so I can come out of the tube, the intake, and come right out here with, say, a 4-inch intake tube. This is going to have Holley Terminator X Max control in the engine and transmission, so I'm not concerned with the mass airflow sensor or anything to do with the intake airflow being linear, laminar, or whatever. Battery's going to go right here, just like it did from the factory. Alternator's going to be right here, and we're going to have a nice short little alternator cable going straight to the battery, and then I'm going to run the battery cable to the starter just like it would down below, down under and back. Heater core seems to be no issues. I'll get some 90s for that. They'll come right out and come right over here, and then they'll go right into there. Going to be plenty of room up here, and then I'm going to most likely do a reservoir here for the intercooler tank, and then a pump down low, and then we're going to be able to, man, that sure would be nice if this thing was ambidextrous, but we're going to be looking the wrong way. That's okay. We can come out of this. I was talking about this thing. I wish it was ambidextrous. I could come out, go straight down, and just straight over here, but we're going to have to go this way through the heat exchanger, which will be up in here, and then back to the reservoir. But it's going to all be okay. Coilovers are installed in the front. I got to set the right height once I get the correct wheels on here, and I also have to replace the nut on top with the nylock. It currently has just a regular nut and a washer. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what kind of wheels we want to go with yet. It's sitting pretty low, but we're going to get a lot lower. I still have yet to install the 9-inch in the rear end. I have all the parts for it. I need to do the fuel system on here, so I kind of started yanking this thing apart. I got to get in here and pull that pump out, put the new pump in, and then remove the inline pump that these cars come factory with. More than likely going to go right here with the regulator, like on my car. Do my feed and return right up to here, and then feed the rail just with the deadhead. Going to be just a solid like 60 psi all the time to feed this. I think it's actually 70 to feed this, and then the Holley will control the actual high pressure fuel. We're not sure what's going to happen here as far as this thing may or may not see a cam. It depends on how fast it goes in the stock form. But I have a feeling that this thing is going to be able to run a very low 10 or a high 9 if it gets a pulley and a cam. Maybe, we'll see. But as it is now, it should definitely run a 10. Well, not now, but when it's running. But yeah, that's it for this. Steering shaft is not in it at this moment. The stock U-joints were junk, and the previous technicians that worked on this thing kind of hosed them all up. That didn't work out good. Got the cross member modified, got the engine mount all situated there, got everything nice and painted. Yeah, so yeah, it's rolling along. I got my list. I got my an idea of everything that I need. I'm gonna have to put an order together for the remaining parts. The only thing that I can't just buy right away is the driveline, because I'm not sure how long that's gonna need to be. I'm sure I could guess, but I don't want to, because the rear end, I mean, the 9-inch is a little different than the 8.8. I mean, I've done a couple with 8.8s, and they've all been about the same. And the issue, or the difference would be, I believe this LT has the transmission sitting a little bit farther this way than it would with an LS. But I have more clearance in the front with the LT than I did with an LS. So I'm not sure where that difference comes from. If it's just the geometry of the LT or what. There's also a lot more room back here than there was on an LS. But that could just be because it's a blower and not like a regular intake manifold. So Anyway, that's a one-take shot of what's been going on. I've been pretty busy working on this thing, just getting all the weird odds and ends stuff figured out. Been doing a little bit with some turbo kit stuff, and I have been doing a little bit with, well, this thing. I mean, I took 2 days to do this stuff, to get the engine and transmission back in and the modified mounts and everything like that. Let's see here, I got my brakes. Those are the 9-inch brakes. Those are the front end brakes. Brembo. This is my pile of parts for this car. Got the stuff for the radiator, cooling fans. There's those junk steering U-joints. Axles. 8.8 for my car. I need to get it narrowed to where I believe it'll be a correct length. Yeah, so I gotta go grab the jigs from a buddy. Get that done. Yeah, did some organizing over there. I need a new way to clean up my tube after I cut it. My little belt sander is not up to the task. It's a little bit weak. And I also would like to get a better bandsaw, like a horizontal bandsaw for cutting tube. The grinding or the abrasive wheel on the Makita saw over there, I use a Milwaukee Diamond abrasive saw, which is great. It doesn't make any dust, cuts through nice and quick, but it's just tough to clean up. So I'd really like to have a bandsaw that cuts straight. It doesn't make a huge mess. The issue I have with my portaband on the swag table is it still doesn't cut straight, even though I use a miter gauge. Now I probably could fix that, but I haven't. So anyway, that's where I'm at right now. See you guys next time.